Hello, everybody, and welcome to the recap of round 45 of the Shuffle. This took us a little bit. We didn't able to do a couple weekends, stuff like that. Just this, overall, it's just taken a while for me to get through stuff because of work and how things were going. But we're here right now, and yeah. Also, I got a tattoo, so check it out. Pretty cool. Lincoln Marin on the beach from Link's Awakening. I absolutely love it. I hope you guys do too. But let's get into our recap here, and then we have a little tier list to do. It's a couple tier lists. So, first starting off with, let's start off, 6 games. What was last place? What was last place? So, this game, let's start off with 6th place. So, this was in 4th place last time. It has since moved down to 6th place. And that is the Malladus section from the, not Tower Spirits, from the Legend of Zelda Spirit tracks. This took us 2 hours, 6 minutes, 15 seconds, and 11 deaths. This segment, basically, there was 3 parts to it. So you went into it and everything. You fight the demon train, which is like, it was a cool concept, kind of frustrating in retrospect, but not terrible. And then the Malladus part was also really crap, to be honest. I had this segment where you're supposed to, like, there's like little rocks that are coming at you, and you're just trying to deflect it. No problems there at all, right? Things pretty simple. The problem with it is that even when you did it, sometimes it wouldn't register what you're trying to do. Sometimes you just get hit, and then it starts over and over and over and over again. Super frustrating. And then the whole final section where you're trying to shoot Malladus with the light bow, also super frustrating. You can't get it to go at you, and then you can't just like get the shot off. It mainly just was like, it felt really tedious, really frustrating. Just not my favorite, man. It really just was not my favorite at all. But what this does mean is that we are done. We are done with the Legend of Zelda Spirit tracks, and we are moving on to the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD Hero Mode, which I'm super excited for. So I played the HD version recently with my wife a little bit, and then got it to where I could do a hero mode for stream. And yeah, I mean, still Skyward Sword. So if you don't like Skyward Sword, you're not gonna like it as much. But I think it'll be pretty cool to see it in a different light, if that makes sense. So that'll be pretty cool. But there we go. So there's that. And so stay tuned for the end of this. You'll see the dungeon and boss ranking for Spirit Tracks. As far as, I have it in some tier lists, so we can do that correctly. Next up. So moving on to 5th place. So this was in 3rd last time. It's dropped down to 5th. And this game is used to being near the bottom anyway, so it's not a really big deal. But it is it's the Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory section. So we did 3 parts to this. Because I've moved to this 2-hour format, it just really has changed the way that I play this, and it's made it more enjoyable to kind of just knock out a big section. But it is, we did Captain Hook, we did Riku Replica 1, and we did Hades. So we started off and we did all of Neverland. And you kind of went, the way it works kind of is, you go in, you fight the boss, and you leave. There's not any story really going on in the middle of the Disney parts. So we did Neverland, and we did Olympus, and you just kind of go through, no big deal. And then the big story thing is that they have made a replica of Riku, and he comes in, and he's like, "Oh, Riku, you're a fake," and it's kind of like leading into the thing where the replica that Sora fights on his side before he gets Riku's memories. So right now he just thinks that Riku's a fake and everything. I'm afraid to use the darkness, stuff like that. So you're trying to put him in his place, stuff like that. We won, and the Riku replica is about to get Riku's memories. So yeah, there's that. So this section took us, let me make sure I got it here, 1 hour, 46 minutes, 44 seconds, 3 deaths. So like I said, it's usually going to be 2 hours, but I knew I couldn't in 14 minutes do an entire another section because we got to go to Wonderland next, and Trickmaster could be hard. So we have Trickmaster, possibly Ursula after that, and if we have time, Oogie Boogie after that. So I really don't know how far this will take, but we only got, how many more? 8 more. So we're actually getting pretty close to being done with Chain of Memories, which is pretty awesome. I'm really excited to go on to Kingdom Hearts 2. So pretty good there. All right, moving on to number 4. Number 4, we have number 4. So last time this was in last place, and has moved up to 4th place, and that is the Streets of Heraklion and the Island of Crete 2. There were some parts of this that were very, very frustrating. Namely, the parts where the birds are coming from the sky and you couldn't get them. That part was very, very frustrating. But overall, I think it was fine. It was definitely just fine. We kind of just moving more through Heraklion, and we go back to the Island of Crete part. That part was cool. I liked that part. But, overall, it was just kind of okay. Not a whole lot happened. We kind of just moved through, and it was good. I just enjoyed it more than the last 2 parts, because I didn't... Chain of Memories is Chain of Memories still. Malodus was extraordinarily frustrating. So, I mean, we're still in the kind of meh area. So, yeah. Alright. Streets of Heraklion and Island of Crete 2. Should be pretty short segment. Yeah, so it's 27 minutes, 35 seconds, 13 deaths. So, yeah. So, we are gonna... Let me have a sec. Let me go ahead and do that. And, sorry, I'm fixing this real quick. Alright. So 27, 35, 13 deaths. So, because usually these take around 20 to 30 minutes, we could probably get a lot more in this next time. So, the next 2 sections are Mounts of Baronia and Chasm of Solace. I'm sure I have at least to do another 2 after that. So, after that would be the Eronia Pass and Sparta after that. So, I might get to all of that, maybe more than that. We'll see. We really have to see. It's really hard to say how far I'm going to get, because we're just going 2 hours. Straight up. Wherever I get, is wherever I get. So yeah. All right. Moving on. We're moving on. 3rd place. 3rd place. This was in 2nd. So this is actually just got on in a downward spiral. And there's nothing done with the game. So it was in first 2 times ago. This was in 2nd last time. Now it's down to 3rd. And that's more of like the other 2 sections that in this were super duper cool. But this is the Fortress of the Eastern Vault section from Tunic. This took us... where are you? This took us 1 hour, 57 minutes, 11 seconds, 18 deaths. Okay, so again, my big issue with Tunic in general right now is I don't know where to go. Once I get to the actual area, I have a blast. But it's very frustrating trying to figure out. I was like, all right, how do I get there from where we currently are? I had no idea. I could go through the sealed door. But moving around the vault was pretty darn cool. I really enjoyed it. Kind of hard to get through. They had these guys that they kind of look like dogs or Anubis people, and they would shoot down in the sky, and if you were inside the area, you get hit. So that part was crazy. So we got that, and then we got to the boss, which was the siege engine, and the boss was hard but awesome. Super cool boss. He had a couple swipes. One of them was kind of like this, or you would hit down. Another one was he would send out little deals. He would send out a laser or shoot a bunch, and trying to avoid them all, hit him in the core or hit him in the face. Really rewarding fight. Really, really enjoyed it. So far, all the bosses, the 2 big bosses, which was the garden something, the garden whatever, and the siege engine have both been really awesome. So really enjoying it so far. I'm excited to keep playing. Next time, though, I'm definitely going to look up, where do I go to get to the area? In order to just see, alright, so we can move it along and stuff like that. Alright, and so, the next up we do have the Great Library, which sounds like it could be a super cool level. So I'm excited for that. Be ready for that. That'll be awesome. Alright, number 2. Moving up to number 2. This is a higher than it's been recently. So this was in 5th place last time. It has jumped up to 2nd. So this is, that's a pretty big leap right there. And that is the Craggy Peak Ruins and the Tepe Ruins from Golden Sun Dark Dawn. This took us 2 hours, 24 minutes, 27 seconds, 0 deaths. Alright, so this was 2-part. We did 2 dungeons back to back for that 2-hour deal. So the first part was the Craggy Peak Ruins, and this was all about... this was so there was 12 different rooms in this deal, and it was they're all based on the zodiac. So they had puzzles based on the zodiac. So this Sagittarius room was you had to hit this thing where it would hit an arrow. The Taurus one had something to do with a bull. It was super cool, really well made. I really, really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And the Tepe ruins was more of a kind of like more like a rocky kind of area. And you met Zveta. We met Zveta, who is a beast, and she could like mind read and stuff like that. So a wind adept. And she had this thing called the slap synergy, where you would some of the notes statues had like these big clown noises, and you would just smack them right across the face, which was super funny for me. But yeah, that was pretty awesome. I'm excited to keep going. The next section is called Sludge. If we get to that quickly, we'll go on to Mountain Rock. But be ready for that. We're almost done with this too, actually. So there's 10 more in all of the Golden Sun series, which is pretty crazy in itself, unless they release another one soon. So we'll get back to that. I'm excited to keep going on that. And so there you go. And our number one pick, this was in first last time. It's in first again. You can hear the music if you've been paying attention. And that is the Collection SAX and Omega Metroid. So it was going to be Collection, but we just ended up like going through and we just hammer it. We did it like 2 days ago on my end. Man, this is such a cool section. With 2 hours, 40 minutes, 25 seconds, 3 deaths. So we went and collect everything. So I have one big complaint. Is the fact that if you start the final mission, you can't go back and finish collecting stuff, which I didn't know. And I accidentally went to this collection area, not knowing, and it locked me out from the last 3% of items. There's like 3 items or 3 or 4 items I just could not get, which is pretty frustrating for me. But, you know, even with that, you know, we still enjoyed it. Then we had this fight with the SAX, and he would chase you around, and he would shoot at you, and so you have to, like, avoid him and shoot him with the charged plasma beam shot, and, that part was awesome. It turns this giant monster jumping around, trying to get him. But then you go, and then you fight the Omega Metroid, and the SAX shows back up and helps you out. And even though that boss is not the coolest, the whole idea of it is super awesome. Absolutely, like such a such a cool fight. Oh my gosh, did I love this? It just was incredibly fun. I'm super glad we had to finish that game. So Metroid Fusion may be my least favorite Metroid out of the 4 we played, but it's still a 9 out of 10 game. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, I absolutely recommend. Super fun. And since we finished, that means we also have a tier list of the bosses. So be ready for that. But yeah, so there's the end of that. So our order for the round 46 here will be, we're going to start with Skyward Sword HD, and then we're going to move into, what's it called? Chain of Memories. Then God of War goes to Sparta, followed by Tunic, Golden Sun Dark Dawn, and then starting Metroid Dread. And I have not played Metroid Dread yet. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to play it, but I wanted to play all of these first. And I've started these shuffle, when was it? Back like a year ago now, and I'm just now getting to Dread. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to get to Dread and get into it. I've been looking forward to playing this game since it came out. I bought it. I pre-ordered the game, and I still haven't been able to play it. So we'll finally be able to get a chance to do that. So let's get into the tier list here. Okay, so let's start with Zelda, and we'll start with the Zelda dungeons. Okay, here we go. I'm switching over right here. Boop. All right, there we go. So if you notice, this is a tier list that has all of the dungeons from the entire series on it. We're just going to focus on the Spirit Tracks ones. So I have them all here at the top. So let's just go into them here. Let me also pull up I ranked them all on my end. I ranked them all on my end, so let me pull this out. That kind of helps. I thought all about this stuff in advance, so I would like to keep that in mind. So let's get this going. All right. So where we start? Let's start with worst, go to best, and what do we have? All right. So let's start with. We're gonna save. Actually, we're gonna save the Tower Spirits for last because it's kind of all over the place, right? So let's go with the Forest Temple. So the Forest Temple is a pretty decent first dungeon. I really enjoyed the use of the dungeon item, the Whirlwind. I thought that was pretty cool, clearing up the smoke and things like that. I don't like the reliance in this game where you get into a room and then all things come up and you fight something and it's over and it's just like that one part of the room. I know that's in every game, but it felt more obnoxious in this one. I'm not sure why that is. But yeah, it's kind of hard to say on that. I think this is a solid B tier, especially for a first one. I think it does a good job as a first dungeon. I think the Dungeons and Spirit Tracks, I will say, do a really good job. Do a great job. Next up, we have the Snow Temple. I think the Snow Temple is pretty darn cool. The whole thing with the bells is awesome, where you have to like hit them in a certain order with the boomerang. I think that the implementation of the boomerang in this dungeon is pretty awesome. Where do I put this? I like it. It's definitely better than the Forest Temple. Absolutely. I think it's a full tier above. I think it's a tier above. If I need to, I can always bring these down to C. I'm going to do that. This is a good first dungeon, but it's not a great dungeon overall compared to this. I think this is a solid B tier dungeon. I like this. I like this. The Ocean Temple. The Ocean Temple, I think I think you got the whip in this one. I think it's definitely not as good as the Snow Temple by like a lot. But it is better than the Forest Temple because it is more complicated than a first dungeon. Man, where do I put this? I think high C. I'm feeling high C. I don't completely remember this one as well. I remember the whip was pretty cool. It had some cool puzzles, but this is such a cooler dungeon in my opinion. Like concept-wise, everything with the bell. I think these two are just fine. This one's a good, and then, obviously no great or perfect, yeah. Fire Temple. This is a really good dungeon. I think Fire Temple A. This is super cool. What was the dungeon item for this, though? I don't remember. Huh. Wow, is it the bow? I think it was the bow. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. It has good stuff. They got a really good boss in it. The bow, I think it was bow. The bow puzzles are pretty cool. Yeah, pretty good. This is definitely a tier above Snow Temple. So remember, this is relative to Spirit Tracks. If it was overall, like if compared to other games, all of these would be down here. So remember, it is relative. But yeah, not too bad here. I wish I could more. This is the one dungeon that is just like, this is a good dungeon. This is a good dungeon. This is a complicated dungeon. It is twisty-turny. It is not a straightforward dungeon, which I love. You really have to think about where you want to go. And the Sand Wand is such a cool dungeon item. It can get a little annoying when you're trying to push things one way and they like start going the other way. That can get annoying. That's the only issue I have, I think, with this dungeon. This dungeon is fantastic. A fantastic dungeon. This is definitely the best. This is an S tier dungeon as far as Spirit Tracks goes. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely love it. Now, the issue comes to Tower of Spirits. So, in my tier ranking here, I have some parts of it below the Forest Temple, some between the Forest and Ocean, and then some above the Fire Temple. The parts that suck really suck. And the parts that are good are pretty good. Pretty good. Where do I put this? I think overall, it goes in C. And I'll put it here. I think it's a good compromise. The parts that are good in Tower of Spirits are really good. The final part and the fourth part are both really good. Like with the lights, that part was good. I think it might, obviously the issue is the fact that you keep going back to it, whereas it's just a one and done, which is much more preferable in my opinion. I think I like definitely better. But yeah, I think that's good. There's my tier list. I like this. Sand Temple S, Fire Temple A, Snow Temple B, Ocean, and then the rest are in C. I like that. The bosses are much more memorable for me. Let's go to the bosses. Here are our Spirit Track. If you notice, I moved all the mini bosses into the mini boss form. All of them would be C or D, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think I ever fought this. This is D. This would be like a C. This is a D. This is a D, and this is a D. So it doesn't matter. Let's get into the actual dungeons. First, we have Stagnox, the boss of the Forest Temple. So, Stagnox, basically, okay, let me think. You walk around him, and you whirlwind his butt, and then you slash it, and then he starts flying at you, and you have to whirlwind the bombs into him. So, 2 phases. Pretty cool. Not a bad first boss and everything, it's just not super complicated. I want to say like a solid B tier is what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking a B tier. I think it's a solid boss. I think it's very solid. It's got meh. Yeah, I think it's good. It's a good boss. I think it's absolutely true. Fraz. So we're going to put it here for the moment. Fraz, So the Frass had the deal where he could either do blue or red flames, and you either would send him back into him in a different way, and he would split apart, and you have to do it again, and send to the blue to the red, and the red to the blue, fire to the ice, ice to the fire. I definitely like it more than Stagnox. I think it's a pretty good... He has a terrible design. I don't like his design at all, but the actual fight and the way it was designed is pretty good. Pretty darn good. I think B. I think same tier, but a little bit better. Yeah. Kragma. This boss, or this is not Kragma. This is Phytops. This boss sucks. It's horrible. Not a fun fight. What you do is he sends his loudness at you. I have no idea how to avoid them. If there's a way to avoid them? I don't know what it is. You grab his spikes with the whip off it, and then you send it into his eye. And then he crashes on the ground, and you hit him in the eye, and then you rinse and repeat. And it's not well designed. Honestly, using the whip in this game, it's fun when you're swinging, but when you are not swinging, it is just meh. It is so meh. Horridly meh. Oh my gosh. It's very annoying. Next, we have Kragma. Kragma's pretty good. It's an A-tier boss. It's an A-tier boss. It's an A-tier boss. Kragma, this is a big thing, is the spot you can see him too here. You have to shoot the bow into that, and you shoot like one of them, you get going, and then you get into the minecart, you're shooting him there. Pretty fun. This is a pretty fun fight. I can't say it's an S tier, because it doesn't reach that for me. It's a pretty darn good fight. This is great. Same thing with Burn. Great fight, not quite an A tier. This is like you work together with Zelda here, and Zelda's doing stuff. Kind of confusing how to try to figure out, but this is the best boss in the game, in my opinion. Hands down. This is a very cool boss. Skeldritch. This is another A tier. This is a pretty good fight, but not nearly as good as these two, in my opinion. The fact that you're, like, hitting the ball and everything, and you're, like, send it towards, you send it towards him. Pretty cool concept and everything. It's just, I don't think it's as well implemented as, other things. And, yeah. There's that, and then Malladus. Shit. Horrible final boss. This is dumb. It's dumb boss. It's dumb. Demon Train's part of this, so the Demon Train would be about C tier, by the way. I'm trying to see if there's any other ones, because the Demon Train isn't on here. It would be C tier, and then Cole, which is on top of the Demon Train, is the worst boss. This is right here. It's horrible. Trying to get closer, it's just really annoying. This is just not fun. Not a fun boss fight. I just, more frustration than fun. This is all good. I enjoyed all of these. These two suck. I do not like them in the slightest. So there you go. There's your boss fight. There's your boss list. No S tiers for this game. I think the stylus controls really holds back this game overall. Let's go to Metroid, which is a better game in my opinion. Metroid Fusion. Here we go. So this is all the Metroid bosses, but we're only doing the Fusion ones today. I got them all. I had them all up front. What happened? They moved it back. What the heck? Okay, well that's fine then. We'll just move him. We'll move him. So, all right. So we'll start with Arachnus. Arachnus is kind of basic, pretty basic. We'll just say basic. It's a C tier, not amazing, but pretty good, pretty good. Not much to say about this one. This, yeah, it kind of just does its thing. I mean, not super memorable. Not bad. Not bad. Just kind of meh. Just kind of meh. Excuse me. Hang on. What's the next one in the order? The Elephant Bird they don't have on here. They don't have the Elephant Bird on here at all. But he would be like, he'd be a D tier. Oh, not great. Zazabi. Zazabi's a B. He's a good boss. His whole thing was he would like, try to jump and you have to shoot missiles inside of him from the bottom and do that. So it's not bad at all. I thought this was an enjoyable boss. Pretty enjoyable boss. Good stuff. Gonna keep moving. Saris, also good. Saris, I put this one right below. Okay, when I was playing, Saris, his big thing is, so he's kind of like a big water snake, and he would go in and out of the water, stuff like this, and you have to be shooting him. The reason it's below Zadsby, it's just more frustration than fun sometimes. Sometimes it kind of felt like BS a little bit, but still super fun. Absolutely enjoyed this. You know, we're absolutely good. Great stuff. Next up in the order. This is the security box. This is A tier. So you fight this thing twice, and I remember the first one really well. I don't remember the second one as well, but they're about the same level in my opinion. But you're shooting in the bop, and you're trying to avoid its missiles and stuff like that. The second one's much more intense than the first one. I think the first one's a little bit better design, and the second one is still good, but not as good. But they're still both A tier fights. So keep moving. Next up, we have, what is the name of this one? I never remember. Barrier Core. It's a B tier. It's mainly just shooting this. I mean, it's just, you can see it. It's just shooting it. I'm not going to talk about it much. It is what it is. It's good. It's just not great. Yakuza is an A tier. It's an A tier. This is such a cool fight. Basically, the biggest way to avoid the stuff is that, but it's like this giant spider. It's coming down. It's coming down at you, like going crazy. Super cool. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I don't know what to say there. Just really, really cool. Really, really cool fight. Trying to shoot it in the face a bunch. Next up, we have, what is the name of this one? Netori? I think it's Netori. I have Netori below here. So this one, this thing doesn't move. This thing doesn't move. If I remember correctly, so they have like things that are just shooting you from all different angles. I don't like that concept. It's kind of like Mother Brain, the original Metroid, where you're not actually fighting the boss, you're fighting the environment. That's just not the type of thing I like to fight in my boss fights, where you're more about the environment. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's meh. It's meh. It's a perfect way to say this. It's meh. Next up, we have Nightmare. Nightmare is the best boss in this game. Terrifying. Can come across a little frustrating if you don't know what you're doing, which took me a little bit to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to be doing. But such a cool fight. This is such a good fight. A couple different phases in it as well, and really, really liked it. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and put them all here, because all three of these are S tier, in my opinion. All three of these are awesome. Ridley's a great fight. Ridley's always fun in any game. This one was no exception. Absolutely loved this fight. It's not as good as the Super Metroid one, but that's a really high bar. Ridley in the original one is fantastic and the best boss in Super Metroid. So, and I'm just saying, pretty awesome. I mean, it's literally like the best boss fight in every game that it's in, except for Samus Returns, where it's like number 3. Ooh. You know, so right there. It's very similar to the Super Metroid fight. This is just like much simpler, so it probably shouldn't deserve to be as high, but it still is really cool, so you can't be upset with that. Still really, really cool, though. And then we have the Omega Metroid. This is a good boss, but not great. I think the biggest issue is it's not really its own fight. It's more of a cinematic piece rather than a fight, so I have to judge it as a fight, not a cinematic piece. So it's still like B tier, so it's still good, but not, not amazing, not fantastic, just good, So the ones that aren't pictured here, that weren't there, looking through real quick, I think the only ones that aren't there is the Elephant Bird, which would be like here-ish, because it's just a core, and the Human Core, which is more of like as a fight, it's a D tier, as like a event, it's like A tier. It's a really cool event where it's like a scientist, but it's actually just a core. That part was really, really cool. So there you go, guys. There's my tier list for all three of them. Thanks for watching everything. I appreciate it. We are going to be back. So we'll be back with Metroid Dread at the end of round 46. Hopefully I get to it this weekend. I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm trying to at least get the Skyward Sword section done. And then maybe we'll get one of the other ones done. We'll see. What is the next one? What's the next one? Well, it depends on what it is. Oh, yeah, okay, we might be able to do that. Might be able to get Chain of Memories done this weekend. We'll see. I'm going to try to get a little bit done every day and then splice the video together, so we'll just see. But yeah, thanks guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. This is longer video for me. But yeah, thanks guys, and have a good one. Bye bye.